Welcome back to the Piney Woods Homestead, y'all. Thought I'd show off those pigs just a little bit. We've been having to give them a little bit of a wet feed. Started that this morning because, y'all, we have one piglet that has not taken to feed as good as the rest of them. We talk about how good a job Rosie did with this litter, and she did up until about 4 weeks. And at 4 weeks, y'all, these pigs were so big she was trying to kick them off of her. And this one piglet is still trying to nurse. He's wanting to nurse on all of his litter mates, so what we're doing is giving him wet feed, even though he's the only one that is just nibbling at it. That way he can slurp it up, get the nutrients he needs, and he'll put on weight and be up with the rest of them in no time. But y'all, we're in here with the chickens this morning. I need to work on this live weight scale. I know I've got 8 2x4s. I didn't end up milling that other log the other day. It was just so miserable, kind of like it is right now. We've been in a jungle, it seems like. So I'm gonna work on these things in here. No more snakes. Mothballs were deployed, which is what we normally do. And I'm shutting the door at night. They can still get under it, y'all. There's nice cracks down and below that door. It just happened to find it. And y'all probably gonna get some hate mail on that last video because I killed a snake. And y'all, we hate doing that. We like those rat snakes. That's what it is, a rat snake. We call them black snakes, but it's a rat snake. I've only ever had to kill 2 of them here. And it's both times it's been because they were eating eggs or chickens. They'll eat a poult. You know, if they can constrict it, they'll eat it. I had to kill one a couple of years ago, same size as this one, maybe bigger. I think it was probably about 7 feet long, which is about as big as they get. It had actually gotten hung up in the chicken wire. It had eaten so many eggs, couldn't get out, and it was all hung up and getting hurt. Had to kill it. And this one here was, usually they're not very aggressive. You can pick them up, but this one was wanting to bite at me. Didn't want to come out of that chicken coop, so sometimes you got to do what you got to do, y'all. And you try to prevent it the best you can, but sometimes it doesn't work out. And if you haven't raised any chickens or lived out in the country, you may not understand that, but if you ever do, you will. You'll learn. But guys, we're going to work on this. I appreciate you hanging out with me for just a little bit. I'll kind of show you what's going on with these scales. So hopefully y'all can hear me over the box fan. Y'all, I got to keep that thing going to keep some ventilation out here. With this extreme high humidity, this weather pattern we're in, I got to keep that going for these chicks. And for me, while I'm out here working. But y'all, what you're looking at here is just a pallet. I believe my brother had brought it over here and used it for something and left it. So I claimed it. And I've been decking it. I decked it with some cedar boards that he had cut. This will be the base. On the underneath side of it, there'll be 4 sensors, little feet, that'll be mounted on each corner of this. But first, I have to build up my walls. I'm basically building a box. I had considered building it with a gate on the front, and I may do that eventually, retrofit it so that I can load, you know, a 150-pound hog in here if I want to. But right now, piglets is what we are wanting to do, so I'm probably going to make it like a box that I can just sit the piglet down in. You know, you're talking a 30, 40-pound piglet. Easy to pick up by the hind legs and sit it down in here and get your live weight. But these scales are pretty cool, and I'll pull those out on probably the next video when we actually go to mounting it up. And you'll see it's just basically, it's a setup of scales that you can use for any livestock. You can build it to any parameters, how big or how small you need your scales. But this is going to work out pretty good, I believe. And y'all, we used to sell them without weighing. We've done that in the past. But if you really want to be, in our opinion, considered legit, you need to sell them by the pound. Like I've said before, we're not selling golden retrievers, we're selling pork. And pork in the standard industry is sold by the pound. Whether you are buying it from somebody already grown out and they're going to have it cut into usable cuts for you, or you're buying a half a hog or a whole hog, you're buying by the pound. And so we're doing it the same way. You're buying it by the pound when you buy the piglet. And then we're gearing ourselves, hopefully, towards home processors like ourselves. And y'all, if you've never processed a pig, but you've processed deer, it's very similar. It's not hard. You can use the same tools to do it, and you'll end up with pork that's much better than you can get out of the grocery store. And you're going to get it. In our past 3 years of raising our own, the average has been final cuts around $4 a pound, or a little bit under. And y'all, it's just superb. So we'll continue to do this as long as we are able, and the good Lord allows. But let's get on to building some walls. Now I've got one side of this thing done, and you can see my slats are probably about 4 inches wide, maybe 3.5, 4 inches wide. I didn't measure, I eyeballed it. Y'all, all I'm looking for here is something that the pig, I don't care if he can get his snout through here. I don't want him to be able to get his shoulders through it. And these pigs are big enough, y'all, they're not gonna be able to get their shoulders through this. I wanna keep this thing as light as possible because I've got to manhandle it. I gotta be able to pick it up, sit it on the back of my tobacco trailer out there, because this thing will slide in there perfectly, and just be able to sit it down in there, move it around as I need to. And I may end up putting some hooks on it, or just a strap to it, and using my forks on the tractor to be able to manipulate this thing into place when I need it. But y'all, this is gonna work pretty good. I went ahead and got one side done because I wanted to see just how much lumber it was going to take, and it took me 3 and just over 3 of those 2x4s, and y'all, they are 8 foot 6 inches exactly. So my method of measuring out in the woods, 1 foot after the other, because my shoes are just over 12 inches long, works out pretty good, y'all. I don't always carry tape out there in the woods with me to get exact cuts. I do a whole lot of eyeballing and using what the good Lord gave me, which is big feet, to measure out there when I'm cutting stuff. I always measure just a little bit bigger, a little bit longer than you need. It's better to have a little too much and be able to trim it off than not have enough, y'all. That's what it takes. And y'all, I'm kind of on a deadline to get this thing done because it is Monday, and I actually advertised the pigs over the weekend to be available for purchase starting this coming weekend. So building stuff I have no problem with. That'll be relatively quick. Getting the scales set up, I want to give myself 2 days to do that because I've never put this type of scale system together. And hopefully I think there's a few decent videos online of people that have purchased them in the past for weighing their pigs that have helped me get this thing put together. But I'm excited about doing it, the whole scale system. I'll show it when we get to it, like I said, but I think it costs less than $300. And y'all, it'll last from now on, and we can weigh any pigs that we grow out. We can throw a cooler on there when we get done instead of weighing instead of weighing our pork cuts individually when we get done processing, we can tear out a big cooler, put the whole hog in it, and get a weight, because we like to keep up with the weights, y'all. It helps us determine feed conversion and also how much stock we have. We keep running numbers, because y'all, we're like a grocery store around here. We keep running numbers on everything we have in the freezer and the pantry. Y'all, raising your own food like we do, it is not always easy. As you saw from the snake eating the chickens and then wanting to wrestle with me, y'all, I could have relocated that snake, because I think about things like this. The only problem is, I could have taken him 100 yards down in the woods and he'd have came right back tonight or the next night and eaten more chickens, because once they find a food source, they'll stick to it. Anyways, it's not for the faint of heart. A lot of folks would rather spend, at least in our experience in our neck of the woods, a lot of folks would rather spend $1,800 on a hog that's already been processed. They pay for the processing fee, the grower to grow it out for them, hoping that they're feeding them what they tell them they're feeding them, and not a bunch of honey buns and leftover restaurant waste. Or you could spend $400 or $500, buy a piglet, raise it out for meat. Or like we do, we're raising them, y'all. And we're not guaranteed to sell every one of those piglets. It's never guaranteed. So if we don't, we already have a plan in place. Those pigs will get processed at different growth stages. They'll get processed, one I know for a barbecue pig, around a probably 85-pound pig, something like that. We'll process some if we have to, prior to that and right after that stage. And y'all, we've got the capacity here to hold that, and that just means we get to eat more pork. Because one hog, once you have processed it, we like to process between 200 and 225 pounds. That's manageable. It's easy for 1 or 2 people to do. You'll end up with 50 to 60% of that as usable meat once you get done processing. And that's for the home butcher. And I've done it enough now that I'm fairly decent at it. But y'all, we got some plans this year. We're wanting to raise a little more pork for ourselves so we can eat a little bit more of it and it lasts a little bit longer in between throwing hogs out. And we're actually going to make bologna and hot dogs this year. Because, you know, I've already told you, we substitute a lot of beef with venison. And so we're going to make some venison and pork bologna and hot dogs this year. And I'm looking forward to that. Something new. We've already got the equipment. Might as well make it. So instead of just making a bunch of sausage and bacon, I believe we'll do some of that too. It'll be good. But I'll get back on this here and see if I can get one more wall knocked out. I may not have quite enough lumber. And if I don't, I will mill another log tomorrow morning. It's a little too miserable out right now to do it today. But at least this gets me a start and I can see where it's going. I don't have anything drawn out. I just do it from my brain. And I think I will go ahead and do probably either a fold in and up door that can slide back down that the pig can't root up. Or I may do a hinged top. I'm not sure yet. Probably going to go with this type of door, something simple that I can use on piglets, or a 200-pound hog that I'm ready to pull out of there and process. And y'all, cleaning a pig is not an extremely hard process. I tell folks all the time, if you've ever deer hunted, and a lot of people have, especially if you're living the way we are, it's much like processing a deer. It's just a little bit bigger. And so it's not that hard to do. You and a family member, or you and a buddy, can do it in a day, half a day. We like to slaughter the day prior. We like to chill it down overnight, and then we like to do all the processing the next day. And Lisa and I actually processed that pig back in, I believe it was January, and it took us 8 hours, and that was from start to finish, breaking that pig down, making sausage, getting the bacon squares cut up and into the seasoning, and cleaning up. Packaging, we did everything in here. Everything was clean, Clorox down, ice down, worked out great. And it's been excellent pork. But if you're a little bit shy about doing it, don't be shy. Just jump on in there and raise that pig. Raise that pig out. There's plenty of resources online, plenty of videos to watch. We've got a processing video to learn how to do it. It's not hard, y'all, and you will be so glad that you did it. Y'all, let me give you a little bit of advice, and I feel like I can give it. Let me get under here, maybe you can see me. I feel like I can give it because Lisa and I have been not only breeding and raising these hogs out here for a few years now, but like I've told you in the past, I get my knowledge from my dad because he did it commercially for years. And so that's where I get my knowledge from. And I'm thankful that he's been able to help me as much as he has. But anyways, if you're wanting to raise a pig out and you don't want to breed pigs, you just want to raise them, y'all, it's hard to find quality stock depending on where you live. And when I say quality stock, stay away from producers, people that call themselves producers, that don't know what they're raising. If they tell you it's a mix between Tamworth, Berkshire, and something else, they probably don't know. They're probably just basing it off the way the hog looks. What you really want to do is be able to verify what you're buying. That's why we raise Herefords. When we bought Rosie and her litter mates, we had eyes on the boar and the sow. And we had confirmation that Rosie was a Hereford cross with Berkshire. And y'all, it showed on this litter of pigs because one of the barrows we're keeping to raise out actually has a big old black spot on his back. And y'all, their build is getting closer to that of a true Hereford now. That's why we have bred to true Hereford boar stock. And so we are as close to 100% Hereford. Well, we'll be even closer. We'll be at probably 99% when we breed Samson to Dixie. And y'all, on that note, Rosie, she has served her purpose as breeding stock. We wanted to get 2 litters out of her. The pork quality has been excellent. But y'all, we're trying to get closer and closer to 100% Hereford as we can. And we like Hereford, we've told you before, because they're, for the most part, very docile. The meat quality is excellent. And instead of ending up with a 275-pound hog at 6 months old, we've got a 200 to 225-pound hog that's more manageable when it comes to processing. But make sure what you're buying is what you think you're buying, because not all hogs are created equal. And if you end up with a pig that has no telling what kind of genetics, inbreeding, you could have potentially health problems with the pig. Your meat quality is not going to be as good. You're not going to have well-defined hips, well-defined top loin, well-defined shoulders. You'll end up with what's called a Piney Woods rooter. And no, we didn't name Piney Woods Homestead after that. Piney Woods Homestead, I'll go ahead and tell you, it actually came because the little township I was born in is called Piney Grove, down in the eastern part of the state, and a little place called Dobbersville. But anyways, that was the township, and when we bought this place here, it reminded me a lot of home because of all the huge tall pine trees. And so we named it Piney Woods. So no, we don't have Piney Woods rooters around here. We've got good stock. But make sure what you're buying is what you think you are. Don't go buy a pig just because somebody's got it for sale for $25 and you think it's going to be excellent pork. You'd be better off buying pork in the grocery store. Find you a hog that has the genetics you're looking for, whether it's Berkshire, Tamworth, or Hereford or Nycase, and do the research. You can go online and read all about these pig breeds and determine what you want to grow on your homestead, whether it's Idaho pasture, those coonies. I don't really recommend that from what I have heard, just based off of muscle structure. We like the Hereford, you know why. But make sure you're getting what you think you're getting, because you will not be satisfied in the end. Or, once you finally do get your hands on some quality pork that you have raised, you'll think, what was I doing before? Putting all that money into feed for a subpar animal. Anyways, I'm gonna get back to knocking this thing together. Probably gonna call it a day. All right, y'all, I believe I'm gonna wrap it up for the day. It's awful humid and hot. I've been down here for several hours. But y'all, I think you can see what I'm doing here. Just building a crate, kind of like a corn crib. But I decided to go with a door that I can open up and shut back down in a track down here. That way the hog can't push its way out, and it'll be easy for me. And y'all, I won't be putting 200-pound hogs in this. It would have to be 30, probably 2 inches tall. It's only 22 inches tall. This is going to work great for piglets and hogs probably up to 100 pounds or so. It's going to work great for that. For the topping out hogs, the way we do it is we run them into the chute, dispatch them, hook to them with the front end loader on the tractor, and bring them up for processing. But guys, it's going to do it for me for the day. Thanks for hanging out for a little bit. Hit that little like and subscribe if you hadn't, and if you have, we appreciate you. We do. We're going to see you on the next one, guys. Have a good day and a great week.